Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen Jacoby. What exactly is it that we do?
We get the people!
Yes!
What they want.
We will get you ready for the Bucks-Nets Game 3. We have some information about the Packers starting quarterback situation, but we start in Phoenix last night, where it was Game 2 between the Nuggets and the Suns were shining bright. It wasn't just CP3. It was Book. It was Ayton. It was Bridges. It was a dominant performance. However, Mr. Rose, these two games have been all about the point guard, Chris Paul.
Everybody's got a little light under the sun. Under the sun. That's what you just described, right? Didn't you see a team that had, 7 or 8 people in double figures?
Yep.
Did you see the point guard have his 3rd playoff game with 15 assists and 0 turnovers? That's the most in the history of the NBA playoffs.
0 turnovers.
And I got to say something for a lot of fans and media members. That does not mean that he was the MVP of the regular season. It means that he's a terrific leader that's leading his team in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. This is a different season. And this game was all about him. This is the Chris Paul game. Okay, his fingerprints were all on it. You see Ayton down low, basically playing the Joker to a standstill stats-wise. You see Miguel Bridges shining on the big stage, running the floor in transition, getting and one dunks. Mm-hmm. Devin Booker playing within himself, not having to force shots. Devin Booker, elite scorer. You know what he gets a chance to do? Catch and shoot the basketball.
First time in his career.
How about that? Gets to catch and shoot the basketball. Somebody's creating shots for him. Kawhi and Paul George looking at him like, man, must be nice.
Must be nice, yeah.
Must be nice, right? Yeah. And so, again, Chris Paul has done a terrific job of stamping his signature, and the guard play of the Phoenix Suns is so very outstanding, it's just crushing the Denver Nuggets.
And what I love about what Chris Paul does for this team is they don't need like a Donovan Mitchell 45 points from Book.
No.
They don't need these huge games like some of these other teams need from their star players like the Mavs. They've got Chris Paul there who, as you mentioned, distributes to everybody, gets everybody double figures. However, Nikola Jokic, newly minted as the MVP. You know, you said him and Ayton are playing each other to a standstill. I don't know if I would say that. However, he needs some help. He needs some help out there, and he's not getting it in this series. And Mike Malone is not happy about that. And here is what Coach Mike Malone had to say after the game.
So obviously Chris Paul doesn't see us. He doesn't feel us. And we're not impacting what he's trying to do in any way, shape, or form, Ashley. And I think you could say that pretty much for the Phoenix Suns roster. They've had their way with us on both ends of the court. I felt we quit tonight, which is something you never want to see. So I guess for Game 3, I'm just going to try to find guys that will at least go out there and leave it all on the line.
I like what he did there.
What did he do?
The coach is acknowledging that my guy, the Joker, just won MVP. And he basically scored just as much as the other 4 starters. That's unacceptable. So he know I ain't talking to him. He know I'm talking to everybody else. And if that comment had a name attached to it, if I had to put a label on it, it would be Michael Porter Jr.
Really?
Because I was watching the game extremely close. And a lot of those high pick and rolls with Bridges and Chris Paul, you know that why there were confusion? You know why there was confusion?
Why's that?
Because Michael Porter Jr. didn't want to get stuck on Chris Paul. He was getting picked on defensively. And you know, if anybody knows about somebody being picked on defensively, I know. Okay? I know. And the thing is, when I say Ayton played him to a standstill, if you recall, Ayton got 2 fouls.
Early, just like I wanted him to.
Right?
Just like I wanted him to. That's what I said. The Jokic needs to get him in foul trouble. Didn't do it in Game 1, did it Game 2.
However, when he came back into the game, he played foul-free basketball. That's the standstill I'm talking about. You want the Joker to then take advantage of that and use that aggression to attack him and either get him in foul trouble even further or take those layups and dunks. It was great to see Will Barton return. The Nuggets will play with a sense of effort and a sense of urgency when they return home. Monte Morris is going to play better. Where's Campazzo? Where's your man? That's your man.
That was
That's
my man.
Your man.
Once upon a time, Campazzo was my man. However, just, you know, I'm a die easy fan.
It was all good
Me and
just a
Campazzo
week
broke
ago.
up. I think it was 1 for 7 in this one. First of all, let me just say in my man's defense, he had Dame in the first series and then Chris Paul in the second series. Not exactly a defensive stopper, Campazzo. However, he needs to play better. As you mentioned, Morris needs to play better. And Michael Porter Jr., I guess he's got back issues. That's the only thing that makes sense because he performs so much better. When you look at his numbers after Murray got hurt, when you look at his numbers in that section, when Murray was hurt until this series, he was performing great. And then this series, he is not. It has to be an injury.
But also, too, he's fallen a little bit into the young player syndrome, which is when I'm making shots, then I'm engaged with the rest of my skills in my game. When I'm not making shots, then I'm kind of just out there. I believe Michael Porter Jr. has a big game 3.
We will see. We have a game 3 in the Eastern Conference as well. The Brooklyn Nets going to Milwaukee to take on the Bucks. However, Mr. Rose, the best show in basketball in the playoffs are the big 3 for the Nets. James Harden and Jeff Green are progressing well. They're going to be out in this one. However, it doesn't matter when you have KD playing like he is and Kyrie playing like he is and the supporting players of the Nets playing like they are. What do the Bucks need to get back in this series?
So during the regular season and even in the playoffs, you're going to hear so much talk about role players. And rightfully so. Basketball is a team game. But you know what allows them to fall into those roles? When you have your stars and your superstars performing as such. See, the team gets built around the strengths and weaknesses of the best player, not the other way around.
Yep.
And for the Milwaukee Bucks, they need Giannis to shoot the ball with confidence outside of the paint. He's not only struggling from 3, he's struggling from mid-range. He's even struggling from the free throw line. So what happens when you're a dominant force like Giannis and you can't make free throws? You're not driving as much because you don't want to get fouled.
Not driving as much, and you're not hitting jumpers, and what are you doing? When you look at the production of the net, the Bucks, we'll call them a big 3, I guess. Look at the difference in production.
Well, and y'all hear that, Bucks? Big 3, I guess. Y'all deserve that. When James Harden go out in the first minute, it's one thing to lose game 1, but to get waxed like they did in game 2 and they was trailing by 49, that's unacceptable.
You remember Chris Middleton this season?
That was unacceptable.
Chris Middleton in the bubble? Where's that Chris Middleton?
Yes.
Where is that Chris Middleton?
I saw a play, and shout to Kyrie Irving, who's competing defensively and playing with pace. But Chris Middleton is 6'7". He shouldn't do a post-up and get his shot blocked by Kyrie Irving.
Good point.
That shouldn't happen.
That's a good point.
Okay? And so I need to see Middleton. I need to see Drew Holiday respond. But you know what happens? Players tend to play better on their home floor in front of their home fans.
They do.
And I anticipate the Bucks doing that in game 3.
Well, I just want to give a big shout out to a gentleman, Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin. Now, he doesn't score 20 points. He doesn't fill the stat sheet.
They need him.
However, one thing he does do, which I did not expect, he's playing D. Like, he's got Giannis a lot of the time, moving his feet, frustrating Giannis, frustrating the bigs. I like what he's doing on both sides of the floor, and I knew he would contribute, but I didn't know he would mean this much to them defensively.
Blake is a classic example of a player, and Derrick Rose falls into this too, of everybody wants to be a Hall of Famer or All-NBA or All-Star. But the biggest compliment you can pay a professional athlete is calling them a vet. And what happens with a guy like Blake Griffin, you go to the Clippers, you're the franchise player. You're on the marquee. They need you to bring it every night. But the more you play in the league and the older you get, that pecking order changes. So now when you start talking about the Nets, how many players of importance are you going to name before you get to Blake?
4.
So now you appreciate him as your 5th best player versus other teams that paid him to be their 1st, 2nd, and 3rd best player. And that's quite all right.
Sure.
Because he's getting it done on a championship caliber team.
And on defense, we have some news about LeBron James.
The King.
And next season, he wore number 23. And now he's going to change his jersey number back to number 6 with the Lakers. Why is he doing this?
Marketing and promotions. Today, we're going to be showing highlights on TV about LeBron James wearing number 6.
Mm-hmm.
He got bounced in the first round this year.
Yeah, we're not talking about LeBron.
And here's the other thing. When you get bounced in the first round wearing number 23, that's another reason to change your number.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And when you're doing a movie, Space Jam this offseason, Goons and Tunes, he in movie mode.
Kids are excited for Space Jam.
He in movie mode.
My kids are excited for Space Jam.
He in movie mode.
Let me say this, is when he wore 23, I thought he was sort of trying to invoke the spirit of like Michael Jordan and some of those great players that wore 23. But I know what's happening. You're not going to hear this anywhere else. You know what he's trying to do with this change? He's trying to invoke the spirit of Lance Stevenson, the last player to wear number 6 for the Lakers. My God, Lance. He needs a little bit of that Lance energy. I'm telling you, next year you'll see LeBron James be strumming the guitar after he hits threes. He's got that Lance energy. That big Lance energy is what he needs, and that is why he is making this switch to number 6. He'll never admit it, but I know that's the case.
And when LeBron James put down number 23, you know who's going to run and pick it up? Caruso.
The GOAT. That's what LeBron calls him. LeBron calls him the GOAT. Moving on, looking at football, all eyes are on training camp in Wisconsin. And the lack of Aaron Rodgers means Jordan Love is playing with the first team. And here's what he had to say about potentially playing week 1.
100%. Obviously, this is a time where I'm getting a lot of extremely valuable reps that I might not have been getting in a normal circumstance. So I'm going to take it day by day. And but yeah, that's what I'm here for. I was drafted here to play quarterback, so I'll definitely be ready week 1.
Jalen, he says he's ready to start week 1. Will they need him to start?
We need to hit the brakes on something.
What's up?
The Jordan Love slander. There's been so many days that since he got drafted, while elevating Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love got slandered. And for those that haven't been paying attention to the NFL, a backup quarterback is really valuable.
Extremely valuable.
You ever heard of Jeff Hostetler?
Yep.
He won a Super Bowl with the Giants. You ever heard of Nick Foles?
Yeah.
As a backup, he won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. So him getting these reps, even if Aaron Rodgers returns, puts him in position to be a better quality backup. And we're not going to analyze and overanalyze how he threw the first day, how he threw the second day. Like, we're not doing that. The bottom line is he got taken in the first round because he clearly got potential. Now that Aaron Rodgers isn't there, let's give him a chance to see if he can perform or not.
And they have an NFC Championship team around him. They've been in the NFC Championship 2 years. They've got everything that you need. They just need Jordan Love to perform if Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be there. Jalen Rose, last time Donovan Mitchell took the floor, he had 45 points, and they need all 45 of them to beat the Clippers. What will happen in Game 2, we will tell you next. You're watching Jalen and Jacoby.
Jalen and Jacoby is brought to you by Marvel Studios.
Header on ESPN. Coming to you live above the Heineken River Deck here at Pier 17. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, Jokic is the MVP. We now know that man, Rudy Gobert, is the Defensive Player of the Year. Ben Simmons came in second. It is his 3rd career Defensive Player of the Year. However, he's going to have to show that defense tonight because it is Game 2 between the Jazz and the Clippers. What do the Clippers need to do to even the series?
Well, it'd be nice if you could try to slow down Donovan Mitchell, but nobody in the playoffs can slow down Donovan Mitchell. He's proven that. They're going to need Paul George to play like an all-NBA performer. There are too many games in the playoffs in his career where he shoots less than 25%. In the last 3 or 4 games in this year's playoffs, he's been subpar. He got some numbers late in the 4th quarter last game, and he helped them get back into the game, and they had a chance to win it. But they're going to need him from beginning to end, and not just offensively. Whatever happened to, like, the Clippers letting us know that they're all NBA defenders locked down on the perimeter?
Remember late at 2 in the morning when I found out that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are going to be on the same team? I was like, oh, they're going to stop everybody. They're going to stop everybody. You're never going to be able to score on that team. And then Donovan Mitchell has 45.
Well, the biggest thing that the Clippers are trying to iron out is what to do at guard. See, I've been talking about this all year. And what does Donovan Mitchell play for the other team? Guard. See, in the last series, they went to man. They went to Kennard. They gave Rondo minutes. They're trying to figure out what to do at guard. They tried to get Patrick Beverly back in and got him 6 minutes in the previous game. And so while they're trying to figure it out, you know what Donovan Mitchell doing? Work. He doing work. And so if they get Conley back, now all of a sudden you can use Mitchell on the ball, you can use Mitchell off the ball, but shout out to Royce O'Neal too. He's a terrific defender on the perimeter, and his ability to shot make now all of a sudden allows them to play a version of small ball alongside the Stifle Tower, Rudy Gobert.
And listen, Kawhi Leonard was fine in game 1. But remember that Mavs series when Kawhi Leonard was like, I'm a former Finals MVP.
Can't be fine.
I'm one of the best 5 players, two-way players in the entire league. He really put his stamp on that Mavs series in a way that he didn't in game 1 of this series. They're going to need Paul George and Kawhi Leonard to be the two that were on the phone with each other deciding we're going to team up and make a championship run.
And at 3 in the morning, when you saw that Paul George was going to the Clippers, you know what you didn't think? That the 2 series that the Clippers played, that each guard would be scoring 40 on them regularly.
That's a good point.
It ain't just like, Donovan Mitchell doing it. Like, Luka just had 46 and 14 on them too. So this is a real thing that they're going to have to figure out. And lastly, the Jazz are a terrific 3-point shooting team. So when the Clippers go back home, when the Clippers go back home, I think that they'll do a better job of defending the 3-point line, and their role players will play a lot better. But Utah's making that 3 ball at a historic clip.
Moving on, we have an update on a quarterback not named Aaron Rodgers. This time it is Deshaun Watson, and through his former teammate, Kareem Jackson. Here's what Kareem said Deshaun said the following, and I quote, I've been talking to Deshaun the last couple of weeks, man, and all he's been telling me is Jack, just tell him that's where I want to be. He's like, I want to be in Denver. Jalen, what do you make of his former teammate, Kareem Jackson, saying that he talks to Deshaun, and Deshaun says, you tell your front office I want to be in Denver?
Now, you tell the front office I want to be in Denver. You don't say tell the media.
Good point.
Right?
I don't think Kareem Jackson was supposed to tell the media that.
I would have bet when Deshaun realized his name was trending, he texted his ex-teammate and was like, dawg, that was supposed to be off wax. I told you.
You're not helping me get there. If you want me to get there, don't do this.
Don't call a career from the spot.
Exactly.
Right? Go tell the team. Don't tell the media. I need everybody to feel like they have a chance to get me if and when I get cleared from my charges. I don't want it to be just like, I want to go to one team publicly.
No.
I'm telling that to 30 other people around the league, including you.
That doesn't help my leverage. And if you're the Texans, you're calling Deshaun and saying, what's going on with your mans?
That's your man.
What's going on with your mans on the podcast?
Your man.
Well, obviously, if I'm the Broncos, I am very cautious about putting together a package for Deshaun Watson, given everything that's happening with him off the field. Coming up next, we have more information on another NFL quarterback not named Aaron Rodgers. This time it is that man, Dak Prescott. He feels good. He buried the ankle injury. He's been dancing. We'll explain. You're watching Jalen Jacoby. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, Dak Prescott. All eyes on him at minicamp. He says his ankle feels fine, and here is his evidence.
Put that right on the tombstone. Had a good Cinco de Mayo, was a little active, and at that time maybe did some little dance moves, and I felt like I'm ready to go. So that was the time that I said in my head, the injury's gone. So.
Did some dance moves on Cinco de Mayo, and in his head, the injury is gone. What does that tell you?
I'm rich. That's all that was. And this is where I knew his ankle was okay. And this is elite analysis that you're not going to get anywhere else.
Elite analysis?
Yes. Is when he left Adidas to get a big deal with Brand Jordan.
Ooh.
That's when I knew his ankle was okay. Because you're not getting a new cleat/shoe deal. If your ankle isn't okay, and he's the highest paid football player currently at Brand Jordan. So the ankle is okay.
I did find it interesting that someone with a foot or ankle injury did switch shoe brands. Elite analysis, Mr. Rose. You can always get elite analysis from us every day, ESPN at 2 p.m.